just like in Pokemon, picking your starter can be very important. In Yu-Gi-Oh, most of us would have started with a starter or structure deck to get us into the game. For some, this is just a stepping stone, but for others, this can be a way to mold their strategies going forward. What's up, Yu-Gi-Oh fans? Oh, that's Spicy here. So today we're going to be looking at the best starter slash structure decks for completely new beginning players wanting to get into Yu-Gi-Oh in July 2019. We're going to be looking at what I believe are the best 5 decks within the Link format, that if you buy 3 of them and make a build just from those, you can have a decent starting point going forward. In this list, I have tried to have taken into account playability as well as ease of learning as if it was for beginners. Please take note, I know there are decks that don't need extra decks, so I've tried to do this list based on those that use them a little bit or have a summoning mechanic that is good for beginners to learn. Also, this is entirely based on my opinions and done for entertainment purposes with the aim of being slightly insightful. If you disagree, please comment down below and tell me why, and tell me what your top 5 decks for beginners would be. And if you like this type of content, please feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell because it helps a ton. Now, let's get on with it. Kicking off with number 5, we got the Power Code Link Structure Deck. Released August 2018, this structure deck is a good introduction into Link summoning. With cards like Lampredocus and Power Code Talker, easy generic links, making it an easy way to learn Link summoning. The Power Code Link structure deck is better known for Salamangreat support, but as a structure deck, this deck has a lot going for it. With cards like Flame Buffalo and Lady Debug, these cards can help you filter through your deck for the cards you need. Obviously, Debug being limited to 1 at this time of filming hurts this deck a little bit, but other cards like Anti-Alien are also available. This deck is mostly Cyberse monsters. Cyberse is currently the archetype that receives constant support, and this starter deck can become something really great once you start delving into the different supports available. This deck also includes a powerful card in Cynet Storm, randomly summoning a Link monster. It's pretty good. Also, cards like Reasoning, which are great for Cyberse decks with the variety of different levels just within the monsters. This deck has some amazing reprints as well. Things like Terraforming, 1-for-1, Scapegoat, Call of the Haunted, and even Effect Veiler. They're just some really good staple cards that, as you grow as a duelist, they will just be so handy to have in your arsenal. And now, number 4, we had the Order of the Spellcasters structure deck. Released April 2019, this Endymion deck is an introduction into the pendulum summoning mechanic for our new players. Now, summoning Endymion cards can look a bit intimidating to a beginner, especially the Mighty Master, who has 11 lines of text with over 150 words. But once you get used to the cards, this can be a decent starting deck, having seen some competitive play. When it comes to customizing this deck, there's a few options, such as the Zephyr variant. The Endymion is also relatively new revived archetype, which you can expect to get some further support in the future. The deck bases around spell counters, which are easily gained and stored on the Citadel field spell, ready for the Mighty Master. Now, I know this deck doesn't really have Link strategy, but it does come with a Link monster in Daybreaker, which is kind of cool. Also, this structure boasts amazing reprints in Droll and Lockbird, as well as Pot of Desires and even Terraforming for good measure. This deck can be a bit of a drag when it comes to learning the long effects, but once you take the time to learn this deck, you will have a strong starting option. Now, I put it kind of low on this list because it is quite difficult to learn. It could potentially have moved up the list, but I think it fits perfectly in our number 4 spot. And now we're going at number 3. We're going with the Zombie Horde structure deck. Released November 2018, this structure deck is a zombie strategy that includes the powerful card Zombie World, turning all monsters on the field and the graveyard into zombies, giving you a floodgate that's part of your main strategy. This deck also comes with a Synchro Monster and Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon, which is also super cool. Like the previous deck, this deck doesn't come with any Link monsters, which is a shame, but Links can be helpful in a custom build, especially cards like Vampire Sucker. Your powerful boss monster Doom King Baladrock, which comes with the recursion and a negate in a 2800 body, which is hard for even some of the best decks to deal with. And to note, Doom King's effect doesn't specify the field spell needs to be on your side of the field for him to return. The structure also comes with the main starters in many zombie strategies, with Unizombie and Shiranui Solitaire giving the new player plenty to choose from going forward. Mizuki and Gozuki are nuts. With a one monster reborn and the other sending a zombie from the deck to the graveyard, these two cards are in every single zombie deck, and reprints are always nice to have. There's a lot you can do with this deck, and it can be a lot of fun. Not the most competitive structure, but with Doom King in your deck, you have an extremely powerful monster that can be a problem for almost all your opponents. Also, some decent reprints to mention, such as Shed Ride, Anti-Spell Fragrance, and another Foolish Burial reprint is pretty cool. This zombie structure deck is a great start for any starting duelist or any wishing to return to the game. And now we're going for number 2. Bit of a controversial choice, but I've gone for the Code Breaker starter deck. Released July 2018, this starter deck is the most recent starter deck, and truthfully it may not be as powerful as the decks below, but this deck has awesome reprints, also has access to the Scapegoat combo, which is great. Now, obviously this deck doesn't have Bowl Sword or Burrow Load, but you have got Transcode Talker, which is pretty cool. I have this deck at number 2, and as the only starter deck on this list, it is here mostly for the reprints. A 3-deck build of this might not be as powerful as the Zombie or the Endymion decks, but I put this deck here because of the cards like the Scapegoat. You even got Cyber Dragon in this, Monster Reborn, Mirror Force, Compulsory Evacuation Device, Torrential Tribute. All great cards for the starting duelists. And overall, it's just jam-packed of things you could use for a long time. And I want this list to be for the beginners, and I feel this deck could do more for you as a player than any of the decks below. Just a quick one, if you don't know what the Scapegoat combo is, you basically activate Scapegoat on your opponent's main phase 2 end phase. Got your 4 tokens, you go Link Kribo, Link Spider, Pentastag, and then into Transcode. It's pretty cool. And obviously with Transcode being like probably your best boss monster, Transcode can return a Link monster that was, I think it's like Link 3 or below, into the zone that it points to, which then, because of Transcode's ability, both monsters gain 500 attack. And if you can get Pentastag back, you then got Piercing as well with Pentastag's ability, which is pretty nuts. Now, I don't want to spend too much longer talking about this deck, and mostly because I think you all know what our number 1 deck is, but I would like to say the Codebreaker starter deck is a very good deck, and it's definitely worth checking out. And now, our number 1 deck is the Soul Burner structure deck, as in the Salmon Greats. So it's released February 2019. This structure deck is the most competitive of this list, and is also a good deck for beginners with the intro into XE summoning and Link summoning. So where do we start with the Salmon Greats? I mean, it recently won the Euros. It also got second, which is pretty nuts. And this structure deck has most of the cards you need, giving you a strong deck core. You'll want some investing cards like Salmon Great Sunlight Wolfen, possibly Lady Debug and Flame Buffalo, but this deck has most of the cards you will need to have a decent Salmon Great deck. I mean, you could also go onto the expensive side of the spectrum and get cards like your Signet Minings and Phantasmes. Mining is definitely a much needed card for this deck, just as another searcher, and Phantasme's great in this deck, so if you have the cash, just go for it. Now, you can see some success with a more budget build, but you're gonna need cards like Sunlight Wolf. It is a definite need. Not saying the structure deck is weak by any means, it is still probably the strongest overall on this list, and it also has an amazing reprint card, and that is, you guessed it, Dogaran, the Mad Flame Kaiju, which is spicy. Having access to a Kaiju in a structure deck is pretty nuts. I mean, also, there's another really good reprint that's worth mentioning. Gozen Match. Being able to stun your opponents with Gozen Match can really be great at some levels of competitive play. In case you thought I forgot about it, another card worth mentioning, Threatening Roar. And I am joking, it's Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, possibly the best hand trap in the format, and having a common in this structure deck is the shit. Also, I like to mention this structure deck does something really cool. Has two artworks for YuGiOh, has the original and the alternate art, which is pretty nice. Silent Grade's an amazing deck for beginners, and a lot can be learned with this deck, having links, XCs, field spells, searches, recursion cards, the protection from Baylings. This deck just has so much going for it and is by far the most deserving of our #1 spot. So, that was my top 5 starter/structure decks for this current Link format as of 2017, when Links came out, to now, which is July 2019. I'd like to make an honorable mention. This deck actually came out just before Link started, but it's the Dino Smasher Fury structure deck. It is so powerful without an extra deck with Ultimate Conductor Tyranno that it is just, has to be mentioned, and this is probably my favorite of all of the decks that I mentioned in this video. So if you like the content I produce on the channel, please feel free to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single upload, like the videos, and comment on the videos. And as always, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!